Is June 4th, 2024. It's our 2 o'clock Commissioner consent agenda. Let the record reflect that all 5 commissioners are present. Commissioner Jordan is in the building. Commissioner Waldrop is on Zoom. And then, of course, we have Commissioner French and Commissioner Kearns and myself. So no written comment was received for today, for today's agenda items. And so then we'll go ahead and have everyone stand and say the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, that's going to take us to then our open public forum, and I do have a couple of people that want to speak, and so we will start the open public forum, and I will start with Becky Dickerhoff. You know the routine, so if you state your name and address for the record, and you've got 3 minutes.
I'm here today to ask the County Commissioners to enact what is commonly referred to as a 1590 tax. This ordinance, which amended RCW 82.14.530, allows a county legislative authority to impose a sales and use tax not to exceed 0.1% of the selling price in the case of a sales tax, or value of the article used in case of a use tax. In 2020, the Inlander reported it cost our county $134 per day to house inmates. During the attempt to pass a tax to support a new jail, there were estimates that the cost had reached $200 per day. Homelessness has become a crime in Spokane County because of the statutes that target people who have no residence, no place to sit, no place to rest during the day when shelters are typically closed, or even at night when those shelters are filled. They have no access to clean water, place to prepare food, or store their belongings, so they become criminals. Adding offenses to their public record only makes it harder to find housing. We have already recognized Spokane has a housing crisis. We already recognize we have a homelessness crisis. What we have failed to recognize is how continuing to criminalize the results of this crisis further pushes housing away from those who have found themselves in this cycle of homelessness. The 1590 tax cannot solve homelessness or the housing crisis, but is a tool that could contribute to finding solutions for more people. It could help support a regional response to the crisis. It could help refurbish current vacant properties we find throughout our city and county that could be another home for another individual or family that is facing housing insecurity or even the loss of housing. I urge the county commissioners to enact 1590 in the county instead of ignoring a tool that could be added to our resources to combat homelessness in Spokane. And I forgot, you threw me off. I'm Becky Dickerhoff, Spokane City.
Thank you. So next we have Susie Hokinson.
Hello, all of you. Thank you. You're back, Al. We missed you last week. And wonderful to have Chris here. Hi, Amber. I'm Susie. I live 2 blocks north of Francis, halfway between Maple and Monroe, and I'm in the county, not in the city. One thing I would like us to consider doing a land acknowledgement at the start of every county commissioners, because I realize that I'm wealthy because I'm born white in the United States on land that is treasured. But I did attend the growth management plan yesterday at Medical Lake, and I was very, very impressed. It was 45 minutes long. The 4 presenters did a really good job, and there was plenty of time for questions afterwards. Encourage everyone to think about coming. And I have been an election observer I called to find out how many years. Feels like 10, 20 years. And I used to observe twice a week, I think, at most every elections, and now I do only once, hoping to encourage more people to. But we have excellent trainings, Democrats separate, Republicans separate, but I'm hoping we'll also move to a braver angel type for independence. But the training is spectacular, and I think our system for elections is amazing. And we're really getting people out to vote because we do have mail-in ballots. Thank you all for running. Well, serving. You won.
Thank you. So, second call for anyone, that's the end of the people that I have that have signed up. So second call for anyone wishing to testify during our open public forum. See no one online and no one in the audience. Third and final call for our open public forum. See no one, no one online. Okay, and no one in the audience. I will close the open public forum. And I will look to my fellow commissioners, other than I will note that we do have to take 5F separately today, as we made an adjustment to that.
Madam Chair, I move that we approve items 3A, 4A, and 5A through E on today's agenda.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve items 3A, 4A, and 5A through E on today's agenda. Any further discussion?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good to see you all in person today, or most of you in person. I just wanted to say a few words about item 5E. This is our co-responder funding that we're voting on today. I'm thrilled to support this action, which I believe is a win for a safer and healthier Spokane. With today's vote, the commissioners are investing $1.43 million from local mental health sales tax revenues into a new public safety pilot program. This program will pair fire department-based first responders with mental health professionals to increase our regional capacity to respond to mental health emergencies and substance use-related crisis calls in the city of Spokane, including downtown, and the Valley Fire Department service area. I'm very appreciative of all our first responders in police and fire for the incredibly hard but important work that they do every day. I hear regularly from officers that so many of the calls they respond to are driven by drug addiction and untreated mental health issues. And so by boosting the number of first responders trained to deal with behavioral health issues on the streets and in the field, I believe we are easing the pressure on law enforcement, local emergency departments, and the justice system. And I think that we'll see more people at risk getting access to life-saving treatment, as well to be stable and healthy, improving overall community safety as a result of this action. And this is a goal that I know we all share. I wanted to say, as I've mentioned to the board before, that I had a chance to ride along in February with the city fire department's existing behavioral response unit called the BRU. It's a team of only 2 people for the entire city, a paramedic and a mental health professional. They're out on the streets every day responding to overdoses, doing welfare checks, connecting people with mental health and drug treatment. And this is key. They have the capability to conduct medical clearances in the field. So folks who are in crisis don't need to clog up the emergency room when it's not necessary. Instead, those individuals can be directed immediately to treatment. So the BRU was, when I was riding along, was tallying the number of diversions that they had achieved from the hospital. But as I said, it's only a team of 2 people, which means they have limited hours. And as we all know, behavioral health crisis does not respect business hours. It occurs around the clock. So with this action today, we're funding up to 6 new fire-based EMTs or paramedics from local dollars and pairing them up with up to 7 new clinicians funded through existing crisis system dollars. This is a significant boost to the capabilities of our region's response to behavioral health crisis. As the board knows, Spokane County has a history of supporting more behavioral health resources for first responders, and that's evidenced by the successful co-response team that exists within the Sheriff's Office and the Spokane Police Department. I've also had the privilege of riding along with that unit earlier this year and respect what they do and appreciate Sheriff Knowles' ongoing commitment to that important work. And I see what we're doing today as an action to build upon that commitment with additional tools to enhance our overall crisis response infrastructure. I've also appreciated the ongoing dialogue that we've had as a board on this issue since it was first raised back in the budget process last November, and I know we rarely have enough of the local dollars to go around that we want. But I'm pleased that we're able to start this pilot with the City of Spokane and the Valley Fire Department, focusing on where the need is greatest. I've also heard, as I'm sure we all have, from downtown businesses concerned about safety, and I think these funds will help us better respond to behavioral crises downtown and elsewhere. And finally, today, we're approving the funding with this action, and I'm looking forward to seeing the agreements come forward with the city and the Valley Fire Department. I expect that this program can and should be a great example of city-county collaboration. I appreciate the desire of both of those entities to partner with us. Thank the board for their support, and most of all, wanted to thank Community Services Director Justin Johnson and our Integrated Behavioral Health Care Manager Ashley McGee for all of their many, many hours of work to behind the scenes to make this policy possible, study the best practices, work with the stakeholders to get everyone on board. So thanks to both of them, and with that, I'm happy to support the motion.
Commissioner French.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I also would like to comment on 5E. This is the continuation of an underlying program to help those that we find on the streets that are dealing with either substance abuse or a mental health crisis. You know, the county, and I wish that there was more awareness of some of the successes that we've had over the years, but you know, the Spokane County was one of the first in the state to create a mental health and substance abuse crisis stabilization facility several years ago. In fact, I think it's now been in operation for 3 or 4 years now. And this is a facility where if somebody is experiencing a crisis on the street, prior to the establishment of this facility, they ended up either in the hospital, or worse yet, they ended up in our jail. And they ended up with a criminal record that they didn't deserve just because they were having a crisis. So we established the crisis stabilization facility so that folks that are experiencing a crisis don't end up also with a criminal record. They end up going to our stabilization facility where they get treatment and stabilization so that they can enter back into the community in a more stable environment. And so that our facility is one of the first in the state. And then we did the co-ride-along, and that's been in place for, I think, 3 or 4 years now. And this is an expansion of that program. So the good news is this board has not been shy at taking steps that no other county will take to be compassionate, to be efficient and effective, and how we want to deal with folks that are in crisis, and then also folks that are doing harm to our community. There's a right place for that, but folks that are dealing with a crisis, they don't need a jail, they need services. And we are one of the first in the state to recognize that and actually build a facility to provide those services and stuff. And so very happy to support this. This is an expansion. Right now we have co-deployed ride-alongs with our sheriff's deputies and with city police. Very effective, very, very effective program. And in fact, when it first got put in place, 85% of the folks that are encountered on the street didn't end up in jail. They ended up in a stabilization facility getting treatment. That's the compassionate thing to do. And so this is an expansion of that program. I am very, very happy to support it along with my other commissioner, Mr. Jordan, and I'm sure the full board does, because we've all demonstrated our commitment to not only community safety, but in a compassionate way and stuff. So thank you.
Commissioner Waldron.
Hi, thank you. I just wanted to, I think Commissioner French and Jordan have described the program very well. I wholeheartedly support this investment of the mental health sales tax. And I just wanted to comment that it really will tie in well with the regional stabilization center that Commissioner French is describing, as well as hopefully our future sobering center that will be attached. This will be a great piece of the puzzle, so to speak, where people can be interacted with in a positive way by our EMS and mental health experts. And then they can be referred directly to a sobering center and hopefully to the stabilization center. So I'm very proud that we're using our opioid settlement dollars and these mental health sales tax dollars very wisely. And I just wanted to say, I appreciate that Commissioner CUNY, wanted to focus on the Valley Fire Department because they don't have any of these resources. So I think that's really a great combination between the city and the Valley Fire Department. So thank you all. Support this.
Go ahead. Then I will.
Yeah, if we're all going to chime in, it is. Yeah, no, I echo everything my fellow seatmates have said. That this is a continuation of an effort that we started many years ago, primarily with law enforcement. I think originally it started with a grant from WASPIC that actually funded the co-deploy teams, and so it's great to be able to expand this to additional areas of the county and to partner up with fire and not just law enforcement in this. So the diversion rate away from jail is off the charts. I mean, like Commissioner French was saying, it's around 80 to 85% are diverted away from the jail. These are programs that are proven to work. So to continue this and expand it to more places in the county just makes sense. So I will be supporting it as well.
I'll go last. So no, everyone has said most of what I would say, other than I'm just very excited to see it go into the Spokane Valley Fire Department, to see how, as a pilot project, how it's going to work, going into a new area with this ability. So very excited to see it go out there and to see what this pilot will do. So we can monitor, we can do the measurement and testing to see how effective it is, to see how we can expand it. So I will also be supporting it. So I will say now, we have a motion on the table for item 3A, 4A, 5A through E. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes unanimously. Thank you. So that's going to take us to item 5F. So item 5F, I just want to make sure we had a placeholder for waiting for the scoring to occur, and the scoring that occurred has ranked the team of Garco DCI as the winners of the high scores, and so they have been added to the resolution. And so since this was not previously identified, I do need to open it up for public comment. If anyone would like to comment on item number 5F by adding Garco and DCI engineers in that resolution. So first call for anyone wanting to testify on item 5F. Second call for anyone wanting to testify on item 5F. Third and final call for anyone wishing to testify on item 5F. Seeing no one, then I will look to my fellow commissioners.
Madam Chair, I move to approve item 5F on today's consent agenda. And with awarding the bid to Garco and DCI.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Commissioner French.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So I'm very happy to support this measure for a couple reasons. One, Garco and DCI are just very, very quality design and construction firms here in Spokane, and Garco Construction has got a legacy of developing quality projects throughout the region, and they are also the contractor currently working on the Trex project out at the Spokane International Airport that was just first phase was opened up last week. And so we've got a great team in terms of the consultants, but we also have a great team in the house. And Doug Chase and his people have just done an outstanding job of marshaling the project for the Camas Park and Plants Ferry Parks forward, where we will be able to use ARP funding
to be able to make significant improvements to not only Plants Ferry Park, but build a brand-new regional park on the West Plains. Camas Park would be located in the West Terrace neighborhood, and this is an effort that I've been pushing for the better part of 13 and a half years, getting a regional park on the West Plains. It's a growing area, and we've got a lot of residential areas, including West Terrace, that are, in my opinion, in need of and deserving of a park facility, not only for the parents, but for the kids, to be able to have a safe environment to recreate in, and to be able to provide these kind of recreational services to all of the residents on the West Plains. So just kudos to Doug Chase and his team for marshaling this through the process. I'm in your debt. You did a great job, and I'm anxious to get under construction here, hopefully later on this fall, and have a park ready for our residents and citizens to be able to use in the spring of next year, so, or summer, but it's coming. So just thanks for all the people in the House, and thanks to our consultants. Thank you.
Okay. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Motion passes unanimously. Okay, that will take us to our final item, which is a public hearing item. This is 6A, which is to consider the vacation of a portion of Willow Lake Road, County Engineers Road File Number 1881 for the Spokane County Public Works Department. We will get a presentation from staff before I open it up for public comment.
Thank you, Commissioner. As you mentioned, we're here to talk about the vacation of a portion of Willow Lake Road. Next slide, please. As you can see on the overhead, it's on the West Plains and the Four Lakes area, and it's the western end of Willow Lake Road, and it's approximately 320 feet that was petitioned for vacation. It's 30 feet wide, and as you can see here, we always have this one concern when we're near a water body. If it touches a body of water, we can't vacate it per state law. In this case, it does not touch the body of water, so we do have permission from the state to vacate those types of right-of-ways. The petition came from the 3 parcels outlined in blue. They're all in favor of the vacation. Our staff took a look at it. There's no current or future need anticipated for this right-of-way, and as such, our office would support the vacation of it, and happy to answer any questions.
Are there any questions for Matt Zarecor at this time? No. Okay. Thank you. So this is a public hearing item, so I will open it up for public testimony, and I have several people that have stated that they want to testify. So I will start with Riley. I'm going to say this wrong. I'm going to let you say it as you come up. Okay. Just that way I don't say it wrong and it gets in people's mind.
Yeah, thank you. And my wife is trying to decide whether she'll yield her time to me as well. One of my questions is, have you had the chance to read the letter that was submitted previously? And it's okay if the answer is no, because you all are very busy. So were you able to read the letter?
I will say I was not.
Okay,
So.
no problem. Then in that case, I think she would yield her time to me, and I would read that letter if that's okay with you all.
That would be great. And so you will have six minutes total.
That's great.
And so if you would start by stating your name and address for
Yeah,
the record,
right.
and then your 6 minutes will start.
Absolutely. Riley Mangarelli, 14717 West Taylor Road, Cheney, Washington.
And then would you also state your wife's name so that way we know?
Absolutely. Jennifer Mangarelli, same address.
Thank you.
So I'm speaking in order to request this vacation of right-of-way. Unfortunately, this vacation request comes after continued harassment from our neighbors that are on Willow Lake Road. After countless discussions with county employees and law enforcement, we've been recommended to request this vacation due to that harassment. And we're kindly petitioning for that vacation because of that. Also, the lack of need in the future, as described by Mr. Zarecor. It should be noted that that harassment has continued for several years now. As you can see, they're also here to speak and to continue to use this vacated right-of-way as a place to harass us going forward. We got a driveway through the right-of-way to our property that would have been landlocked otherwise, and they've continued to park things in the way. In the letter submitted, you'll see a pile of snow that they put in place so that we could not pass through that area as well. The most recent incident that led us up to this request for the vacation was on February 16th of 2024, when the neighbors knew that I was out of town for work and my wife and 3 little girls were home by themselves. Our house was burned in the Medical Lake fires, the Gray Fire, and we had to put a house on our property in this area, and they tried to block us from going through there, yelling at the driver as we came through with the home and everything. But on February 16th, my wife called me very scared, and she said there was a man walking around our field. She didn't know who he was, and he had a large camera that was zooming in. I told her to hang up right away and call the sheriff, given I was well out of town. And so we soon learned that it was the neighbors who had found yet another way to harass us by walking onto our property via this right-of-way, which extends into our alfalfa field. There's nowhere to go from there, and the lake is very accessible from the south and the west side, completely owned by the county, actually, the lake is, from the other side. So a link to a video you can see in the letter that I provided previously. The sheriff rightfully points out in the footage that these people are simply trying to harass me and my family, and he recommends that we take the next step. And one of those would be to vacate the right-of-way. Vacations have happened in this area before, behind one of these neighbors' areas, and he states that in the video as well. And the other neighbor explains that they have a right-of-way they want to have vacated behind their property, but if we ever go to vacate this, when he talks to the sheriff, he says, well, we'll fight that one. So they'll be here to do that today. So the only reason that anyone would support not vacating this right-of-way would be to continue harassment of my family and I on our own property in our hayfield. In dealing with the county, we've done everything that we could in our power to do everything rightfully through permits, working with the county authorities. Whenever I asked if I could fence my property line, for safety for my family while I'm out of town, the county said, no, you cannot, because it's a right-of-way. Now, we said, okay, we'll do what's right and we'll follow the county. That being said, behind the neighbor's place, there's also right-of-way, and it is fenced. There's buildings on it. There's many other things that are blocking the right-of-way completely. The county understands that. They know it. There's nothing they will do about it at this point in time, which did not quite seem fair. Completely understand their stance, but it's difficult for me to understand. So with this vacation, we'll then be able to, create more safety for my family. There's no need for it. Again, doesn't touch the water. There's many ways I can show you that. The 1907 plat shows that it's never touched the water. So it is in your full authority to do this. And without it, you'd be allowing the continued harassment of my family and I via this right-of-way. So I guess I may not have needed all the time, but I'll yield the rest. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So additionally, I have Hans Linhart. And if you could please state your name and address for the record, and then you'll have 3 minutes.
Yes. My name is Hans Linhart. I live at 14417 West Willow Lake Road, which used to be the last house at the end of Willow Lake Road. My wife and I have been there for the last 15 years, since 2009. The road takes up, this is on the south end of lots 5, 6, 7, and 8, north end of lots 9, 10, and 11 of the second edition to Willow Lake Road. And the county has never, during our time there, and according to Dan Myers and Monty Chamberlain of Spokane County, never will maintain past the end of lots 6 and 10. That means that from my property and the property to the north, all of lot 9 and lot 7, as well as a portion of lot 8, will never be maintained. By By approving this vacation, it forces the terminus of the road to be on my property where everyone turns around. It's already being rutted up from public traffic coming down and turning around because they get lost because they think it's an open road to the lake. To the effect of harassment, there's never been any harassment on my part. When the Mangarellis began the process of developing their properties and installing houses, their survey was called into question. They did not give us ample time to get our own survey done, and when we did, it proved that they had installed power lines on my property as well as the property to the north up along the fence line. And it took them over a year after that discovery to finally get that removed from our property. The other thing that they think we've harassed them on is I did call into the Department of Ecology for Mr. Mangarelli spraying on the public waterway in the weeds, trying to make a better access to the lake for himself, which I thought as public land, and that is a protected wetland at that part. You should not have the right to do that, and that should be at least investigated. I do not consider that harassment. I believe that as a public owner of that property, we should have some concern in that. We have also called into the Department of Ecology considering his development, as he has put wells on all 3 of those parcels, and we already have water issues out there, so we wanted to make sure it was legit. His answer to that was to sell parcel at the north end of the lake to his in-laws for $1,000, even though he is the one that continues to maintain it. Right now, the issue is that the road is not developed, and it's an undue burden on myself to have to maintain the small portion of that right-of-way that the county does not between here and where that would be vacated. I think the county needs to make that open, and they need to address the issues of the further development of that area and open that right-of-way all the way up to make a turnaround for the public. Because my children play out there as well. People don't obey the speed limit out there, and they're causing potholes where we've never had potholes. I'm responsible for the removal of snow, and it's an undue burden on myself to vacate it this time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next I have George Earlscott. Scort. There we go. Thank you. Sorry.
Okay, I'm George Earlscourt. I live at 14312 West Willow Lake Road. I'm 2 generations on living there, so I've been there the longest. I've known the people that originally owned it. Like I said, we don't use that area every day, but as a kid, we use it all the time. We walk down the lake all the time. That lake was known as a hunting lake and stuff like that. One person ended up buying all the land out around it for a while. Then it finally got sold, and the county picked up a big portion of it too. I suppose you know that. But yeah, I'm in favor of keeping the road. I am a photographer, and that's what the issue was. They created the conflict, not me. I went out there, I was taking photographs for my use, for what I'm doing. They came up to me and started harassing me, and then called the police on me for trespassing. All the time knowing through their lawyers, through the other neighbors, that that was a road. It was just a harassment to me to try to bully me, and now they're trying to get it closed. The other part is, you know, I would like to see our further generation of my family being able to use that, to walk down that. They've already showed they're gonna plant trees and block everybody off, so they can't see the lake, okay? So this is, like I said, this is my direction to get this angle of the lake, for me to get photographs. I want to get my children doing that, grandchildren, whoever, you know, other people. You know, it gives them another angle instead of going on the other side and shooting the wrong way. We get a lot of different wild birds down there. But during the meantime, like I said, the conflict is coming from the other side. It's not coming from us. I've never talked to them before. They come up to me, harass me. But like I said, I've been here the longest. I want it to stay open. I don't want to be blocked off. You know, you guys built a big grange in front of me on looking at Mount Spokane, you know. So like I said, you need to keep things open for us. We want to use it as a walking road to stay away from the roads that they're traveling 30, 45 miles an hour, and those roads are getting more congested. Now we can walk this way to go down the lake. It's like you said, in the parks. It's just another way so people around there can use it. You know, yeah, it got opened up. And with the great access to internet, we get to see this now, you know, and see what is there and what we can use. It's public. It's not for private use. It's public. I want to keep it public. That's my deal today. I gave you a copy of my paper. that should outline a lot of good reasons why it needs to stay open.
Thank you, and yes, we did receive that.
Okay, I'm done.
Okay, thank you. So, again, this is an open public testimony time. Is there anyone else who would like to testify? Those are all that I have that are documented at this point in time. So if anyone else that would like to testify on item, like I gotta get back to my 6A. Is there anyone online? Okay, seeing no one online or no one else in the audience, I'm going to do second call for anyone wishing to testify.
Madam Chair, I have a question for staff. Would this be the time to do that or later?
I think after
Close the testimony.
testimony, then we can have discussion.
Okay.
So third and final call for anyone wishing to testify. Seeing no one in the audience and no one online, I will close the open public testimony. And yes, we can go ahead and ask any questions at this point in time.
I
Commissioner
just
Jordan.
have a question for Matt Zarecor. Just looking at one of the letters here, it says Willow Lake Road needs to remain open to the public for future EMT or fire, also for mail delivery. All types of companies that would need to use it. Local utility companies will also need to use the road. The Department of Game may want to use the road and get access to the north end of the lake, the garbage truck. Can you just kind of speak to those concerns from your perspective as county staff?
Yeah, I mean, this board's heard this from me before, but we have a very large road system. We have 2,500 miles of road, and there's a lot of unopened right-of-ways, such as this one, that we don't anticipate ever opening. If anything, we would like to contract the road system where appropriate when we can. So, if it did go all the way to the lake, this conversation wouldn't even be happening. We wouldn't have allowed the vacation to move forward. Since it doesn't go up to the lake, it doesn't meet that standard of the access to the waterway. In terms of the turnaround, we fully appreciate that. Nobody would like a turnaround on these dead-end roads more than the county. It's very challenging to maintain them and do snow removal. As the person speaking pointed out, oftentimes they take it upon themselves. Turnarounds are tough. Our standard for a turnaround is 100-foot diameter. This is a 30-foot wide right-of-way. It doesn't meet the standard, which means we would have to acquire right-of-way. Anytime we do that, we have to go through the full acquisition process, through the condemnation process. And even if somebody wanted to give us the right-of-way, we can't take it without a lot of disclosure and a lot of work. So it's never quite as straightforward and simple as we wish. I would love to have a turnaround on this road at some point, but that's always something that we never really have the money or time to get to. We have, as you might imagine, hundreds and hundreds of these types of dead-end roads that don't have adequate turnarounds on them. So, a lot inside of that, but yeah, it's challenging for our folks to maintain these without adequate turnarounds, and it's just as difficult for garbage service and people doing deliveries and everything else. So it's something that we wish we had a better way of addressing, but again, with time and resources, this isn't something that we generally address unless there's a really long road with a lot of volume of traffic, and this doesn't kind of meet that threshold.
Any other comments from the commissioners? Commissioner French?
Well, I'll start out by saying it's unfortunate, and I can understand how stressful it is for neighbors to try and find peace among themselves. Then hopefully that'll happen at some point. But in this situation, if you take all of that out of the equation, because that's typically not the criteria we use when we're evaluating whether a road should be vacated or not. It's your opinion that this section of road would not meet our criteria or not be a section of road that we would ever use. And so you're saying you're approving the vacation of this road for all of those reasons. Is that a fair summary?
Yeah, you've said it exactly right. In my evaluation of this section of road, I did look at all the testimony, all the
Yeah.
written testimony that was provided, and while I can appreciate all that, my perspective and my analysis is much simpler than that.
Yeah.
We're taking a look, is there any current or future public benefit that needs to be preserved? And in this case, there just isn't. So
Yeah.
that's why we support the vacation of the roadway.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate that.
Okay. Any further discussion? Okay, then I guess, just to clarify again, this does not go to the lake, so that's why we're able to vacate it.
Correct. Yeah, we've
And the
had a
lake-
number of, well, you can imagine, we get a lot of petitions to vacate,
Yeah.
and many of them do go down and touch a body of water. We have a lot of them recently from the Millwood area, where there's these stub right-of-ways, and they were intended for the public to access water bodies. And so that's always the first check we do when we receive a vacation, because that's a non-starter for us. And in this case, it doesn't. There's actually a parcel of land that separates it too. And so you don't have access to the water in this case either way.
Okay, and then looking at one of the photos, so then there is lake access through half the lake, it looks like, on other property.
Yeah, it appears we have Conservation Futures property that
Property.
wraps around the south and the west side of the lake.
Okay, thank you. Just wanted to clarify that.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, I have already closed the public testimony, so I will look to my fellow commissioners.
Madam Chair, I move that we accept the county engineer's recommendation and vacate a portion of Willow Creek Road, County Engineer Road File number 1881 for Spokane County Public Works Department.
Second?
I have a motion and a second for item number 6A as presented by staff. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Motion does pass unanimously. Thank you. That does close that closes 6A. And so is there any further items to come before Mr. Simmons or Mr. Anderson?
Nothing for me, Commissioner.
Nothing for me either.
Okay, no executive sessions?
Not
Very
this
good.
afternoon.
Very good. Okay, then we will sign some documents and I will close the meeting and we'll see everybody back next week. Thank you all very much.